Hi guys, I'm Mason Taylor, joined here by our co-founders Michael and Zina Goodin. We're here to talk to you about our new book, Homecoming Tales. I have Mack here. We also have some of the Fosters and their dogs featured in this book. Homecoming Tales is 15 inspiring stories from old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary. And so we wanted to do some live signing virtually, and you will be able to order your live sign or just signed copy of the book through a link. If you watch our Facebook page closely, you will be able to see that. And it's perfect time to get this right before Christmas time. It's a perfect stocking stuffer. It's also great for year-round reading. It's for young animal lovers, and we are excited to talk to you a little bit today about Homecoming Tales. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Michael and Zina Goodin, our co-founders. Hi.
Hi.
So would you guys
Hello.
talk a little bit about your gang at home?
Well, right now we have what we call the home gang, and the home gang are the dogs. They're the dogs that live with us. They're old friends that live with us. Some of them have been with us for a long time. When we first started in 2012, we started in our house, and we started with several senior dogs. Two of them were Lucy, Lou, and Leo. Uh, Over the years, we expanded. We moved into both floors of our house. Then we added another house. Then we moved here to where we are now, which is Grandpa's Gardens. That's where we're broadcasting from right now. And in several months from now, we'll have a new location, which is the Pavilions. Uh, we've come a long way with these old guys.
Yes, we have. Yeah, at one point, we thought, maybe 8, 9 dogs was about normal. And then we started counting, and at some point, I think we had close to 40 dogs, and said, I think it's time to expand. So once we did that, the home gang, the ones that are still with it, were the ones that were just had to stay there. They wouldn't have known what to do if they had to move. And we only moved the ones that were in the lower area, and we were close to them, but not as close. So we've had them for a long time. Zina posts their pictures every Sunday, and people follow them like they have for years. So it's been quite the experiment, but just wonderful how many dogs we've been able to save.
Our sanctuary holds currently 100 dogs here that are looking for their forever foster home, and we have upwards of 400 in forever foster homes. We have helped over 1,000 senior dogs throughout the lifespan of old friends, and that number continues to rise. Going to you guys,
Yeah.
Michael and Zina, there's Lucy Lou and Leo in here, which you could talk for weeks on end about both dogs. And they title Lucy Lou the inspiration and Leo the rock star.
That's right.
Would you talk a little bit about that?
You do, Lucy.
Lucy Lou came to us in 2010, so it was a ways before Old Friends started. And she came from a terrible, neglectful situation. She nearly died from malnutrition. She was in horrible shape. She was nursed back to health, and from the moment she hit our yard, she smiled, she ran, she loved her life. And she really showed us that no matter where these guys come from, they can they don't even need to learn. They can appreciate what they have at the moment, and they can enjoy the rest of their life. And Lucy Lou showed us that we would be able to give many, many dogs the ability to live a good life, even after having a bad start. So she was our inspiration, and we also consider her our founder.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And Leo is really a phenomenon. We back in the early days when Zina and I were doing all the transports and pickups and basically everything ourselves, somebody called us from a strip mall and said, we've got a dog in the back of our hair salon, and we cannot bring ourselves to bring it to the shelter, so could you come pick it up? And we came, picked up Leo, and he was a mess. They said he was probably living with a homeless guy, but they said you're going to have trouble getting him in your car. And we had our van called the Geezer Mobile, and we just opened up the door, and Leo just jumped right in. And then Zina started posting his picture on the internet, and he really looked. He had a big fuzzy mane, and he looked like a lion, and just so popular on Facebook. So it's the beginning of his rock star status. So he was just a wonderful dog.
And unfortunately, senior dogs don't live forever.
Right.
So those cross the Rainbow
Bridge.
And unfortunately, legacy lives. And thanks to Lucy Lou and Leo, we're able to talk about them and let young animal lovers eat.
Exactly.
All this, you know.
And we focus on what we can do with them for the time that they have with us. We don't focus on the length of the time they're with us, rather the quality of time we can give them while they're here.
Jenny, I want to talk about Zelda a little bit.
All right.
You call her the queen.
Yes.
I know when you saw the book the other day when you came in here, you were like, oh my goodness, there's the queen. There she is. Why or how did she get that title?
Zelda is very interesting. Well, first of all, talking about, Zina and Michael were just talking about how Leo jumped right in the car. Zelda was actually supposed to be a temporary foster. And the day that I went to go pick her up, I was putting something in my trunk. She jumped in my trunk. She was like right with me. So I had her, and she walked in the house like she owned the place and she belonged there. And so she's just the queen. She likes things a certain way. She's not the most affectionate dog. She's super sweet, but she's just not very affectionate. And she will let you know with her facial expressions how she feels about things. So that's how she got her name.
She has a prime minister in parliament. And the whole nine.
Yes, right.
Oh, wow.
So is she the alpha dog in your pack, or maybe?
She is. In fact, because we've got a dog that's probably 3 times her size, and she will put him in his place. Definitely. Jason is probably 35 pounds. Jake is 85.
Wow.
And he knows not to mess with her. And just going back on what you said earlier, Mason, about, the advantages of a senior dog. As an example, before I got married, my husband had Jake, who we just referenced, who was a puppy and is still kind of a puppy. And he's a little crazy. He likes to run around, jump on everything. And my girl Zelda is super sweet. She doesn't chew on anything or mess with anything. So I think that's one of the advantages. I love puppies, of course. Who doesn't love puppies? But I know that I will never have one again if I can help it. Because not only are you helping the senior dog, but obviously by the time they come to you, they've usually been potty trained and they're a lot more calm and they're not going to chew on things and jump on you. So that's also an advantage to these oldies.
I think all of us on this call would have to agree with you about the potty train.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
My goodness.
Don, I'm reading the
Yes, sir.
name of Prince, and I just hear you saying this. They call him the dude of dogs.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can just hear
exactly.
you saying that to me. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, the dude abides. I don't know if you're I don't want to ramble. He just, like Julie said earlier, nothing bothers him. He's just a piece of work. And we already knew a little bit about him when we got him, but, not that it mattered or anything, but so we did know some of his backstory, and he already had his name and everything. So he was a prince, and with our group, we've got a total of 11 dogs in our house. And I can't keep them straight. That's Julie's job. I can't tell you which ones are old friends, fosters, which ones are adopted, and which ones did we get from somewhere else. I don't know. We've had so many. I'll let Julie tell you about all that. I tend to ramble. So Prince is the man. He is the man, the dog for his time and place.
All right. The dude of dogs.
The dude of
There it is.
On our website, OFSDL, we have recipes that we have used, one being Auntie Stew that we have used for an nth degree. Can you guys talk a little bit about Auntie Stew?
Auntie Stew was developed back before we even got started. It was an attempt to make real food for the dogs. We didn't feed it entirely, but we wanted to be able to add some real food to the dog kibble. So working with our vet and working with things we'd read, we put together a recipe for Auntie Stew, and it includes chicken and fish and apples and greens and carrots and
Oh,
so I
demand.
put it in the recipe calculator, and it turned out a great good for the dogs. We blended up dog food, super good quality. So we feed dogs that a little soup on top of food. And that recipe has been over the years better and better for the dogs.
Do you guys use any recipes that for your dog, or you know, you just can and say go?
Unless they're sick, they don't get anything special. If they're sick, then we do lemon rice or something like that. But other than that, I'd go crazy trying to feed them something.
That's right.
Bad enough. I mean, I've got 5 or 6 different dry foods, 5 or 6 different canned foods, and that's enough.
That's enough.
So I want to. We have just a little bit of time before the next group comes in, and so there's one question that I'll ask you guys, and it's going to be hard to keep it short. I'll give you that preface, but how did you choose your dog that's featured in the book? How did you choose that dog to come home with you? And if you guys want to start, or if you guys want to start, it doesn't matter.
We never really chose anybody.
No, they chose us.
There was a dog in need, so we took them. And Lucy Lou was our dog. We chose Lucy Lou because we wanted to help her out. Leo kind of jumped in our van,
And that was it.
that.
Yep.
Well, who wants to go first?
I'll go.
We'll start. Okay, go ahead, Jenny.
Okay. I was just the same situation. Zelda was me. To be obviously, I got Lucy. After I put an application and basically said for me, I wasn't picky about anything like that. I did just, I wanted a female dog. And so they gave me Lucy. And then with Zelda, the shelter was a little bit full. So they needed people to temporary foster. So they put something out on Facebook to the families and said, can anybody temporary foster? I said, sure, pick a dog for me. I'll take whatever one. And then I ended up with Zelda. And we laugh looking back on it now because I was like, oh, it's just for 2 weeks. I'm just going to have her for 2 weeks. And then I think 4 days in, I bought her her own bed. And then by day 6, I got her a name tag, and I knew that she wasn't going anywhere. So she's been with me almost 5 years now.
So Jenny, would you say we did a good job for you picking them?
You did. Great job.
Well, let's hope so.
Yes. Well, I had Lucy for almost 5, and then Zelda's coming up on 5, so obviously.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Julie and Don, would y'all like to go next?
Yeah, we actually, we were known to be dachshund lovers, and Prince was coming in, and they didn't want to have him or didn't have room for him at the then. And they asked us if we would take him. Well, they found a forever home for him. And, like Jenny, we had him, in fact, the first meet, he was in the backyard, just kind of wandering around with our other dogs. And I looked at who brought him to meet us. And I said, don't look for anybody else unless you hear from me. And that's been over 5 years ago. So I think it's worked out well.
Yes.
Totally.
Miss Barbara, would you like to close us out?
Sure. Well, I think Zina has a racket going with her temporary fostering.
Yeah.
You got it.
Foster failures, here you come.
And yes, Zina and Michael get to know you, figure out what your type is. So somehow we knew that Pooh Bear being big and fluffy was what I needed home. Because I had another black fluffy and then I had two smaller blonde dogs. So I needed to make sure I had two big black fluffies. So that's where Pooh Bear came in.
Oh,
And yeah, so I have a type. It's big, black, and fluffy.
That's amazing. Well, guys, we're thrilled that you are a part of this book, legacy of your fur babies live on for the whole family. Guys say this all the time, but we can't do it with people without people like you. This is amazing. Thank you guys for jumping on the call. Anything else to add?
Just thank you very much for being here, and thank you for fostering our old friends.
And I've got several dogs selected, so come on by.
So would you guys talk a little bit about your gang at home?
Well, right now we have what we call the home gang. And the home gang are the dogs. They're the dogs that live with us. They're old friends that live with us. Some of them have been with us for a long time. When we first started in 2012, we started in our house, and we started with several senior dogs. Two of them were Lucy, Lou, and Leo. Over the years, we expanded. We moved into both floors of our house. Then we added another house. Then we moved here to where we are now, which is Grandpa's Gardens. That's where we're broadcasting from right now. And in several months from now, we'll have a new location, which is the Pavilions. We've come a long way with these old guys.
Yes, we have. Yeah, at one point, we thought, maybe 8, 9 dogs was about normal. And then we started counting, and at some point, I think we had close to 40 dogs, and said, I think it's time to expand. So once we did that, the home gang, the ones that are still with it, were the ones that were just had to stay there. They wouldn't have known what to do if they had to move. And we only moved the ones that were in the lower area, and we were close to them, but not as close. So we've had them for a long time. Zina posts their pictures every Sunday, and people follow them like they have for years. So it's been quite the experiment, but just wonderful how many dogs we've been able to save.
Our sanctuary holds currently 100 dogs here that are looking for their forever foster home, and we have upwards of 400 in forever foster homes. We have helped over 1,000 senior dogs throughout the lifespan of old friends, and that number continues to rise. So I want to introduce you guys to the fosters that we have joining with us. We have Mr. John Knott. He's the forever foster, him and his wife, of Maverick and Maisie. John, would you say hi?
Hello.
We have Miss Rita Jake. She has Shaq. Would you say hi, Rita?
Hi.
We have Miss Sandy Chadwick, and she has the little tiny girl, Lana.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, she takes up the whole couch. Hi.
And then last but not least, on this segment, we have Miss Brandy Frunge. And would you say hi? Hey, so guys, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. We have some fan questions, and then we have some questions. But the first off question, Brandy, how did you find Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary?
So I'm homegrown Mount Juliet girl. So, but have lived downtown for about 10 years. And actually, so I have Chestnut, and he is actually my son's dog. He's 12, my son Jack. And we have 2 dogs already, and my son wanted another dog, and we have been following social media for old friends for a really long time, and so I kind of talked him out of the puppy thing.
And why was that a good idea for you?
Just our busy schedule. Like, puppies are like newborn babies, and I just really wasn't ready for that. And so we've been following and fell in love with several dogs that we saw placed, and kind of just over time said, hey, let's just really try it. And so we went and visited, and Chestnut actually wasn't there when we went to visit, but we saw him, his picture being posted, and he would always sleep like in a cute little ball on top of the couch and just seemed very handsome, just a handsome little devil, which is exactly what he is. So yeah.
That's amazing. And John, you have Maverick and Maisie. When Maisie was here, we named her Velma, but she didn't know that name, and you guys wanted to call her Maisie. And so these guys, we saw you guys this weekend in our event, and they have transitioned into your home fantastically. Talk a little bit about why you chose them and how they're doing.
Well, we had just lost about a 15-year-old black lab that we'd had for 13 of those years. And we were looking for another lab and stumbled across the website in the process of searching, and came for a tour. Loved Velma, or Maisie as we call her. And while we were meeting her, Maverick picked me out.
That's right.
And we got about halfway home and just looked at each other and said, "No, we've got to get them both."
Oh,
That's
we
amazing.
couldn't
great.
let him.
That's amazing. Rita, how long have you been associated with Old Friends as a volunteer or known about Old Friends?
Well, I started when you moved to the new facility. I was one of the first volunteers then.
Yep.
And been there ever since.
That's amazing. Tell us a little bit about why you picked Shaq.
Shaq we had just lost 2 dogs. We had adopted a senior dog. So we had learned that we liked senior dogs, and then I started volunteering, and then I had Dixie, that was an Old Friend dog that we had had for 8 months. So we had lost both of those. And since I was volunteering there, I already knew several of the dogs. And Shaq was one of those that now you have the top 5 dogs that need a home. If you had had that back then, he was one of the top 5 dogs that really needed a home. He just didn't fit in well. He stayed in the vet's room, hid under the desk, and we had to visit him nightly for about a week before he'd come out from under the desk to see Bill, or he'd hide behind me if I sat on the floor, and we just thought he needed a home. He just wasn't a big group dog. So he was friendly.
Rita, will you tell us how big Shaq is?
He's
hard to tell.
He's 107 pounds, and he's a Newfoundland mix. And well, you can see how big his paw is I have big hands though. That's not a good.
That's okay.
But his head's the size. This big old head weighs as much as some of the little dogs in Little Dog Village there, And so he's 107 pounds, a Newfoundland Lab mix. So if you just had an oversized lab, that would cover Shaq. So
that's amazing.
And he loves the lake, right, Rita?
Yes, it's just so beautiful to watch him swim. He just glides, and he'll walk out after his toy, and my husband Bill will be standing out in the lake waist deep, and he'll go out there and he'll swim around Bill and get his toy and then come back up. And sometimes he'll leave it if I say leave it, and sometimes he wants me to take it. We have a little bit of a tug of war, but he wants you to throw it back out there so he can go get it. So
awesome.
Yes.
So Miss Sandy, you have Lana behind you, and tell us a little bit about Lana, why you chose her, what kind of breed is Lana, and tell us why you love her as much as you do.
So I ended up with Lana. I had actually stopped by the sanctuary one morning to pick up medication for another old friend. And one of the workers had said, "Here, I got somebody I want you to meet," because they know I like big dogs. And she was in the medical room. She was a 75 pounds, emaciated, skin and bones Mastiff. So Mastiffs are large dogs. She currently weighs in at 130 pounds. So we have fed her well, and she's very happy, but it was her sad eyes, and she needed somebody that was going to be willing to work with her and accept her for what she is and who she is, and not try to make her do something she's not. She doesn't like enclosed spaces. So she had the whole kitchen to herself. She was really uncertain of other people, and so we gave her time and space, and so she finally figures out who she likes and who are her friends, and her favorite spot to sleep is the couch.
It's awesome. And she takes up the whole couch, doesn't she?
Oh yes, if she's on the couch, nobody else gets the couch.
That's awesome.
And she was also on the top 5 needy dogs that needed a home at that point, because sometimes it's a little difficult to get large dogs a home, and we can always count on Sandy to do that, right?
Oh yes, I love the big dogs, and I had just lost my German Shepherd that I'd had since she was a puppy. She was 15 years old, and she had just passed, so I didn't have any large dogs at my house, and she filled that empty space very well.
So I'll talk a little bit about Mack. Mack is mine and my wife's forever foster. We got to old friends about 1.5 years ago, and Mack and I bonded instantly. We would play tug of war. Mack has no eyes. He lost them to glaucoma, and he is just persistent, and he is an overcomer, and he's my buddy.
Oh,
and,
he is.
And if he's not doing this, then we're walking or running, or he's just there. He's kind of like right there with you. He's a great dog with a great personality, and he's well, like it says in the book, America's best friend. He's one of my best friends. So yeah, it's a little bit about Mack here. I do want to talk a little bit about the nicknames that were given in the book for y'all's dog, and so let's start with you, Brandy. They call Chestnut the Wonder Dog. Yes. Would you talk a little bit about the Wonder Dog?
He dog that acts like a cat. So he can climb onto kitchen counters and eat things or get into things he shouldn't. He and my son, they walk to school every morning together, and kids are so excited. Half of them probably just come to school just to see Chestnut. They'll be like, "Where's Chestnut?" And we just dress them up in costumes. He has a Christmas costume. He has Halloween. He has like little sweaters to keep him warm. He's just, we don't know his backstory, but there's certain things that we've kind of like placed together and just stuff that we feel he's probably overcome. And we think that before us, he loved running. And he would actually run with us until I realized over time he just seemed to be hurting more. So we've kind of stopped that. But yeah, he's just wonderfully made. I mean, yeah, he's just the best beast in town for sure.
What kind of dog is Chestnut?
We don't know. So we actually just sent off a DNA sample. So
oh, good.
So some of the information said definitely hound. We think, just guessing, we think like red-boned hound, maybe some Vizsla mix. But yeah, I'll have to keep you guys updated. So we'll find out in about 5 weeks.
That's wonderful. Mr. John.
Yes, sir.
They call Maverick the gentleman and Maisie the lady. And it's kind of like a beautiful love story here happening between the 4 of you guys. But would you talk a little bit about the gentleman and the lady?
Sure. The gentleman is sleeping in my recliner over my shoulder. But he is a plot hound, or mostly plot hound, and which I'd never heard of. When we looked it up on Google, it looked like his portrait was there.
Oh.
And he's been to old friends before. We were his second fosters. He had a sad story there, and he had been, I think, somewhat reclusive until we got there, and I guess he recognized me as another old man like him and his previous owner, and just attached himself to me when we came in.
Yeah.
And he is the greatest dog. He loves kids. More people in our neighborhood know Maverick than know me.
That's typical.
That's wonderful.
And Maisie she is without a doubt the sweetest natured dog we've ever been around. She's asleep in the hall right now, but nothing bothers her other than thunderstorms. And she's just, she gets along great with Maverick. He's an alpha. He has to be first. Maisie's okay with that. But when he gets in her space, she can back him up just by curling a lip. He has total respect for the lady.
Yes.
That's awesome. What a gentleman.
He is.
Rita, they call your lap dog the gentle giant. Would you care to elaborate on the gentle giant?
Well, he is just as gentle as he can be, and he's timid and he's afraid of things, but he's not going to boss anybody around. However, right now my daughter's visiting, and she has a young dog, and we're not used to young dogs. They're so active, but he will go back. He doesn't bother her dog, but he won't let him sleep with her when she's here. He gets in her bed, and her dog is not, but he's not mean or anything. He just lumbers on about his way, just slow and easy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
And Sandy, your little one behind you is nicknamed a happy girl in Homecoming Tales. Did you talk about her joy and how happy that dog is?
She has truly embraced living in a home. Sorry, my grandfather clock just dinged. But she, even to this day, gets so excited when you pick up the food bowl. You would think it was the best thing she has ever been offered in her entire life. It's the same thing I feed her every day, but she does the dance when she sees me bring out that dog bowl. She doesn't have a mean bone in her body. She's a little uncertain of things at times, but she is just happy to, have a place to sleep and a belly rub and a bowl of food twice a day. She's not sure she understands why she has to only have it twice a day. She used to get it 3 times a day. But yeah, she's embracing life and loving every moment of it.
Oh,
that's amazing. So Michael and Zina, I have a question for you from our fan questions.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing to know about caring for an aging animal?
They still have they're still the same as a young animal. They're just a little bit slower, have a few more problems, but they have the same needs as a puppy. They have the same needs as any other dog, and they can offer just as many things as any other dog can.
And they, one of the things as far as the actual care of older dogs that I'm sure everybody finds that's super important. Of course, we focus in on the care and the quality of life they have. That's why we do all the vetting for all of our fosters, and we want to make them as comfortable as possible. But one of the major things that all our fosters can do is they all really feed their dogs good food, and it's amazing how much difference it means if you feed your dog a good food. As far as vet bills, it will decrease those vet bills, and your dog will be so happy for it, like Lana, I am sure. So that's an important care note, just to give them good food.
Thank you, guys. So this book is written for young animal lovers, and we'll end with this question for all you guys. But owning a senior pet, and since young animal lovers will be reading this book and diving into this book about these stories from Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary, what advice can you give to these young animal lovers about owning a senior dog? And Sandy, if you want to go first, that'd be great.
I would say just love them for who they are. Don't expect them to be a puppy. Some of them will act like puppies. They may act like puppies for 5 minutes and then sleep for 5 hours. But accept them for who they are and love them for who they are. and they're a dog. They live for the day.
Yeah, that's
right.
great. Rita, do you have anything?
I would say you need to be patient and understanding, and well, patience is the best thing, and you just don't know what type of background they have. And companionship, they just like to be with you, and just being together and spending time together, whether they're asleep beside you or just in the room with you. I just think it's the companionship of being together that's having their person with them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mr. John?
I would echo that, just allowing them to be old dogs. Maverick and Maisie, just they want to be with us all the time, and which is good. I like that. We give them, they need a little more time to do some things, but basically they're no different than any other age dog. They're just a little slower sometimes.
Right.
And I think the exercise that our two get is really good for them. They dance like ballerinas when it's time to go on our morning and afternoon walks. That and I would say again, the good food. They mealtime and walks. The rest of the time they sleep.
That's right.
That's amazing. Randy, this question might ring home a little bit more to you, since you say that Chestnut is your son's dog and that he walks him to school. The dog walks the son to school every day, you know. So what advice or encouragement to young animal lovers can you give?
You know, I think, and I'm sad that Jack couldn't be here, but I think for us, it's more of, it teaches him that, you know, don't discount the old man. You know, it's everything needs to be needed, and you know, Chestnut completed our home. Like, it's the love that he provides is unconditional. And at first, like, you know, he would have ear issues, and he would like snap at me, let me clean out his ears. Now he doesn't even care. I can do whatever I want. So just the unconditional love that he provides, and knowing that that's an important lesson, I think, for Jack, is, you know, the mortality of all of us and pets, that, you know, just because we may not have him forever, we're not going to have any dog for forever, but to do something good while we're here. And that's
right.
kind of what Chestnut has given us too. So
That's cool.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Would you guys like to have any final remarks? Thanks, or
No, just thank you. Thank you to all of you for being part of this signing. And thank you to Thomas Nelson, HarperCollins, for putting this book together for us.
Absolutely. And our fosters are our lifeblood. There's no doubt about it. Without it, we couldn't do a thing. The help, you guys are just amazing. And I'm so happy that you're getting all this joy from your dogs, and that you were able to share them in the book. So thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.